Detective James's vacation got cut short when a millionaire hotel guest was found unconscious, still holding a glass. Someone was behind it, and 3 housekeepers were suspects. Maggie wore rubber gloves. Eddie carried laundry, and Gigi held a broom. So, who did it? Look closely. Eddie's laundry includes a white sheet with a stain, probably from the orange juice the guest was drinking right before passing out. He must have put poison inside the victim's drink. James heads to the pool to relax, but when he gets there, he's shocked. A guy is drowning and the detective is sure somebody tried to end his life. Can you figure out what happened? Take a close look at the stuff left near the pool. There's a single shoe here, but where's the other one? That suggests that this man got pushed into the pool really fast, and the person who did it probably knew he didn't know how to swim. A guest is now begging James for help, saying her wallet was stolen. The detective then asks to check the security cameras at the last 2 places she visited to figure out who the suspect was. Suddenly, he says she can rest easily. But why? In this footage, we can see that her wallet is under the table of the restaurant. She must have gotten up at some point and dropped it. Hopefully, a waiter picked it up for her. The vacay is over, and it's time for the detective to check out. The woman working in the lobby asks, "What's your room number, sir?" James decides to put his detective skills to the test with a riddle. He says his room number is a 2-digit number where the sum of the digits is 12. The difference between them is 6, and the larger digit comes first. After thinking for a bit, she answers, 93. Well done. James lands at the airport, and it's time for the security check. They ask him to take out any electronics and liquids from his bag. He pulls out his toiletry bag and his laptop. But when it's his turn to go through the x-ray, his suitcase still gets flagged. Why? Remember how they asked him to take out all the electronics? But look, there's still an iPad in there. Once James gets to his destination, he overhears a suspicious guy talking on the phone. The guy says he's got stolen diamonds in a Chanel bag. The detective rushes to the baggage claim to hand things over to the police, but there are 4 brand-name bags sitting there. Only one is from Chanel. Can you guess which one? Here's a hint. Look for the first letter of the brand's name. Yep, bag number 3 has the real Chanel logo. James is finally home, and his neighbor is freaking out. She says she just got back from a work trip and her husband is missing. There's no sign of forced entry, but on the porch, there's a table with 2 half-full glasses of water. She's with a friend and the gardener's about to leave. The police think at least one of them might be involved, but who? Let's see. One of the glasses is definitely hers because she's wearing red lipstick. The second glass means she was with someone before telling James her husband was gone. The gardener's off the hook because his dirty clothes show he was just working. So that leaves her friend. Looks like he's her lover and they plan to get rid of her husband. A jewelry store robbery really shakes up the city. The cops catch two guys right outside the store. Both are wearing backpacks, and each one say they were just walking by. James needs your help to figure out who the real thief is. This guy might look like a businessman, but he's the real thief. If you look closely, you can see a little bit of stolen jewelry peeking out through a small tear in his backpack. Now, an art gallery owner asks for James's help. He's convinced one of his employees swapped his most valuable painting with a fake one. He shows James a picture of the real artwork. Can you spot 3 differences between the fake one and the real one? Here they are. Nice job! In a quiet antique shop, a rare emerald brooch goes missing. The only people there at the time were an elderly lady and a young woman. Detective James is convinced one of them is the thief. But who? Take a closer look at their faces to figure it out. Turns out, the old woman is actually a thief in disguise, wearing a super realistic mask. The seam on her neck gives her away, and the shawl is just there to throw off suspicion. James heads to the circus to unwind, but the magician suddenly stops the show. His rare gold pocket watch has gone missing from his dressing room. James checks the room but can't find any obvious spots where it could be hidden. Can you figure out where the missing watch is? You can only see the tip of it, but the watch is actually tucked inside the magician's hat. Turns out, it's not a crime at all, just a very forgetful guy. But things in this circus are getting scarier. Now the clown was found lifeless in his dressing room. And there was a note on his desk that said, "If anything happens to me, look for," and then he listed a bunch of words that seem random. James knows the message is coded and that the words on the odd lines are just filler. Can you figure out who the detective should be looking for? Let's cross out juggler, trapeze, and acrobat. That leaves us with the prime suspect, the makeup artist. The detective gets invited to this fancy gala. Everything's going fine until the big chandelier just falls and crashes to the floor. Luckily, no one was standing under it, but James has a hunch that someone might be behind it. Can you guess who? The wires were cut from above. Even though the floor is packed with people, only one man is trying to make a run for it. Look, you can actually see his leg trying to sneak through the emergency exit. James walks into his house, only to find a riddle written on his walls. The more you have of me, the less you see. What am I? Do you know the answer? The answer is darkness, says James. But as soon as the detective says it out loud, his lights are suddenly switched off. James's living room is now super dark, and he needs your help to switch on the lights. But only one lamp is working. Do you know which one? The wiring of lamp number 2 is all tangled up, so the cable may be broken. Bulb number 3 is burnt out. In number 4, the switch is already on, but the light is still off. meaning it's also not working. Lamp number 1 is the correct choice. The detective rushes upstairs to figure out who's behind all this and finds his wife chained to a chair on the 2nd floor. To free her, he needs to crack the 3-digit code from the padlock. There's a clue left for him. The 3 numbers refer to your favorite secret agent. His spy name is James because he was inspired by none other than the famous movie character James Bond. And what is Bond's most famous code number? 007. Those are the 3 digits we're looking for. Now that she's free, James's wife points to the table, saying the dinner is ready. She looks nervous, so the detective immediately senses that something's off. This must be the work of the suspect inside his house. There are 4 plates on the table, but only 1 is safe to eat. Keep in mind that James is seriously allergic to seafood. Plate number 3 looks like onion rings, but they're actually fried calamari, so James has to stay away from that. The only safe choice is plate number 4. After pulling off a few more tricks, the suspect finally gives up and bolts out the door. Phew! Now the detective can finally relax in peace with his wife.
Emma, a sharp law student, was at the supermarket when she noticed 3 people acting oddly, seemingly eyeing the same package of pasta. Who's up to no good? Take a closer look. The elderly man with a hunched back is hiding the pasta right under his coat. His posture helped him cover the volume of the packages, and he'll probably steal another one. At checkout, Emma sees an older woman trying to buy a cake that costs $30, but she only has $20 in her wallet. The cashier says no, but the elderly woman insists she's still taking the cake home. But how? Well, no need to call security. She's just going to use the digital wallet on her phone. She might be older, but she keeps up with the trends. Back at home, Emma feels like something's off. She starts scanning her porch, trying to figure out if it's just her imagination or if something's wrong. What's out of place? Look carefully. The soil in the plant pot is disturbed. Someone dug through it to find her spare keys, but I guess got disturbed during the search. Emma rushes to her room to cool off, but then she realizes the window is open. She's certain now someone got inside. Can you find out what they've stolen? Take a look at the desk. The mouse and keyboard are there, but the computer screen is missing. She gets closer to check it out and finds a bracelet next to the keyboard with the letter M. The suspect must have left it behind by mistake, and she immediately knows who took her computer. But who was it? Emma has a matching bracelet, but hers has the letter E on it. It's the one she shares with her boyfriend. So it wasn't a robbery. He just probably borrowed her computer. Phew! Emma heads over to her boyfriend's place, and he decides to make things fun with a treasure hunt. Emma's mission? Find her computer screen. The instructions are simple. Take 2 steps to the right, walk straight until you reach the wall, take 2 steps back. Can you guess the location of her computer screen using this room map? That's right, it's hidden under the rug. Careful where you step. Emma heads to the park for fresh air, but she spots 2 pregnant women acting strange. Who's faking the pregnancy? This woman has a cloth sticking out from under her blouse. She's not really pregnant. It's a fake belly. Still suspicious, Emma follows the woman to a nearby store. She watches as the woman picks out some clothes and heads to the checkout. What's she hiding? Notice anything odd? Look at the sign. She's in the priority lane. Looks like she faked her pregnancy just to skip the line and avoid waiting. Emma decides to confront the scammer and asks her, "How long have you been pregnant?" The lady answers, "For 100 days." Now Emma is sure she's faking it. But why? "100 days means she's about 3 months pregnant. So no way her belly would be that big if she's telling the truth." The law student lost track of time and needs to get home as soon as possible. She has 3 transport options: take the bus for $3, grab a taxi for $20, or hitch a ride with a friend on a motorcycle for free. Which one does she choose? The motorcycle ride sounds tempting since it's free, but here's the catch: the tire's flat. So she wouldn't get there as quickly as she needs to. The bus is cheap too, but it'll probably take ages to get home. In the end, she decides to take the taxi. Emma needs to study for a law exam. She opens her notebook and sees that her professor left her 3 riddles to solve. If she figures them all out, she'll get extra points. Can you help her? Here's the first one. I stand for order, not for fight, but cross me wrong and you'll lose the right. What am I? The answer is justice, says Emma. Next one. I decide if someone is guilty or innocent, but I'm not a judge. Who am I? Oh, that's easy. A jury. On to the last one. I saw it all, but kept no score. When asked to speak, I tell what's more. Who am I? And the answer is a witness. Amazing! In college, Emma's professor tells her she'll have to take part in a pretend trial called a moot court to test her skills as a future lawyer. Here's the situation. On a snowy day, a man got hit by a car, and the driver says it wasn't his fault. A witness says the pedestrian light was green. The driver claims he was going within the speed limit, and the victim says he was on the crosswalk. Now look at the scene and answer, who's lying? The victim. The witness was telling the truth because the light was indeed green for the pedestrian. But those footprints in the snow show that the victim crossed outside the crosswalk, so it wasn't the driver's fault. The professor keeps testing Emma and suggests another situation. A lawyer goes to the house of a rich man who passed away. The will clearly states, "I leave my fortune to my son Mark and my daughter Anna, with the condition that she must finish engineering school to get her share." Look at the scene and tell me, will the fortune be split between the siblings? Unfortunately, no. Notice the picture on the wall. Anna is wearing a doctor's uniform, which suggests she graduated in medicine, not engineering. So only Mark gets the inheritance. It's time for the professor to hand out the grades from the last exam. Emma's friends are waiting for their results, and he says, "Whoever's wearing glasses got a D, Maria got a B, and only one girl got an A." So, who got the highest grade in the class? Since the ones with glasses got a D, we can rule out the first and fourth girls. Girl number 2 is wearing a necklace with the initials M, so that must be Maria, who got a B. That means the third girl must have gotten an A. In the evening, Emma decides to try something different and goes with her boyfriend to a dining-in-the-dark experience. Basically, they have to try different foods while blindfolded. The appetizer comes out quickly. Without even looking, she says, "I know what this is, but how?" Easy. She smelled it. It's blue cheese. So, even with the cover on the plate, she could smell its strong aroma. Now, one of the customers says that while she was blindfolded, someone stole her purse. The crime happened at 7 p.m. A suspect claims it wasn't him because he had just arrived. He even shows a movie ticket as proof. Look closely at the ticket and answer, is his alibi solid? Nope. Because having a ticket doesn't prove he actually watched the movie. He could have just walked in, grabbed her purse, left early, and then gone back to the restaurant. The waiter brings the bill. The total for the appetizer and the main course is $150. Emma checks the cost of each dish and realizes that the main course costs $100 more than the appetizer. So, how much is each item? The appetizer costs $25 and the main course costs $125. Ooh, a bit pricey, isn't it? To get into her house, Emma needs to enter a 3-digit code. Since she loves playing cards, she made a password based on that. The first 2 digits are the numbers of cards in a standard deck. The last digit is the number of suits. Can you crack the code? A regular deck of playing cards has 52 cards and 4 suits. So Emma's password is 524.
A lot of things can go wrong during a taxi ride, but you can save the day if you solve all the riddles. A woman got into a taxi with a light suitcase. Along the way, they made a short stop, and she stepped out of the car. When she returned, it was obvious that her suitcase got much heavier, and she was nervous. The taxi driver took her to the police. Why? Her suitcase suddenly became much heavier after the stop. She must have put something inside. The driver noticed she was nervous and suspected that the luggage might contain illegal or stolen items, so he decided to take her to the police. A passenger took a taxi, and the ride cost $18. He gave the driver $50. The driver got distracted and accidentally gave back the $50 bill instead of a $20 bill. How much money did the passenger get as change? So the passenger gave $50 and received $50 back. Instead of getting $32 as he should have, he got $62. Let's hope he was honest and told the driver about it. A passenger ordered a taxi, and 2 drivers arrived at the same time. Both of them claimed they accepted the ride request, but one of them is honest and the other will drive in circles to increase the fare. How can the passenger figure out who to trust? The female driver has a taximeter on the dashboard, showing the fare and distance traveled. This means she is a legit driver. The male driver has no taximeter, and there's a map on the front seat. He might be planning to take unnecessary detours. A woman ordered a taxi through an app and saw that the car number matched the one in the booking. But as soon as she got inside, she realized that the driver was an imposter. How did she figure it out? The app showed that this was a licensed taxi, but inside there was no meter or official stickers with a license number. The driver's profile photo in the app showed a clean-shaven man, while the actual driver had a long beard that looked fake. Late at night, a man ordered a taxi from a cafe. The driver arrived, but after the passenger got in and asked to change the destination, he suddenly refused to drive him. Why? When the passenger got into the car, the taxi driver noticed that he had huge bags. He asked to change the destination from a point in the city center to a dark forest on the outskirts. The driver decided not to take the risk and canceled the trip. Who knows what the passenger had in mind? A passenger gets into a taxi and says, "Take me home." The driver remembers picking him up from the house a few days ago, so he knows the street. But the passenger doesn't want to tell the driver the house number for some reason and gives the driver one clue. My house number is a 2-digit number that looks the same right side up as it does upside down. What is the passenger's house number? It's 69. Sam picks up a man in a smart suit not far away from a jewelry store. He tells Sam, "Take the shortest route to the airport, but don't pass by the police station. There's a traffic jam there." Sam does the opposite and drives the man directly to the police station. Why? Did you notice the man has 3 golden watches and 5 heavy golden chains on his neck? He must have robbed the jewelry store and doesn't want to be anywhere near the police station. A man hailed a taxi in the city center and gave the driver an address. The driver looked at him, then at his phone, and said, "Sorry, I can't take you," and drove away. Why? The driver had just received an alert that a dangerous prisoner had escaped from an island prison. The description of the criminal matched. The driver suspected that the passenger might have changed into his lawyer's clothes and decided not to take the risk. Jill picks up a passenger at 3:15 p.m. The passenger needs to reach the train station by 3:45 p.m. to catch a train. Jill has 3 route options. Which route should Jill take? Route C. Even though it's the longest, it takes only 20 minutes, meaning he'll reach the station by 3:35 p.m. and will have enough time to find the platform. The driver can choose one of 3 passengers in the app. They all offer to pay the same fare. Who is the best option based on their profiles? The driver should pick Rick. The trip is short, but the fare is the same as for other trips, and he'll get some generous tips. A woman messages the driver through the taxi app. The driver immediately calls 911 and they rescue the woman. How did the driver guess she needed help? That house number looks really strange, so the driver guesses it's a code. I is the 9th letter of the alphabet, so it stands for 9, and A stands for 1, so it was a call for action. It turned out that a stranger had broken into the woman's house and wouldn't let her call for help directly, and she had to get creative. Taxi driver Tim receives an order with a special request. A scientist who has some fragile equipment they want to transport is asking Tim to enter their house and help with the cargo, but they didn't specify on which floor they lived. Can you help Tim figure it out? There's clearly a family with a child on the ground floor. Look at all those toys. It's not clear who lives on the first floor. Tim definitely needs the top floor because of all the flasks and other equipment. Sam finished on his 10-hour shift. He left the taxi in the parking lot. When he came back the next morning, there was a stranger sleeping in the back seat. None of the windows were broken, so Sam doesn't understand how it was possible. Can you help him figure it out? The stranger didn't have to break the window because the doors weren't locked. Sam forgot to lock the car because he was really tired after the 10-hour shift. The passengers are in a playful mood and don't want to name the destination address. Instead, they give the driver a rebus. Can you figure out where they want to go? They want to go to the Eiffel Tower. Look at their berets. They're perfectly prepared for a photo shoot. There was a massive blackout in the city, but the taxi driver still noticed a dog on the road and managed to stop in time and avoid hitting it. What superpower helped him do it? No one said the accident happened at night, and during the day, the driver didn't need electric light to see the dog. 2 daughters and 2 mothers ordered a taxi. The driver specified he had only 3 seats in the car, but it didn't stop them. How is it possible? They are a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. 2 of them are moms and 2 of them are daughters, so there's enough room for everyone in the taxi. Martha receives an order from Mr. White from a really shady neighborhood. When she arrives, she sees 2 men claiming to have made the order. She's afraid one of them could be a criminal trying to leave the area incognito. How can she figure out who actually ordered a taxi through an app? She just needs to ask to see the passenger's phone. The real Mr. White will have a ride request on it. All the passengers have arrived at their destinations, and all the taxi drivers are safe, thanks to you. Well done! Are you ready to flex those brain muscles and level up your smarts? Let's start. You're in a dark room with 3 light bulbs. There are 3 switches in the corridor. Your task is to figure out which switch controls which light bulb. How many times do you need to open the door to do it? Actually, just once. Turn on 2 switches at the same time, and after a while, turn off the second one. Now enter the room. 1 light bulb is still on. The first switch controls it. Now all you have to do is touch the remaining bulbs. The warm one is linked to the second switch, and the cold one is controlled by the third. A guy likes a girl and wants to know how old she is. She smiled mysteriously and said, "Yesterday I was 22, and next year I'll be 25. Can you guess when the girl's birthday is and what date this took place? I'm sure you figured out the conversation took place on the 1st of January, and the girl's birthday is on the 31st of December. When she says yesterday, she means the 30th of December, when she was 22. She turned 23 the following day, and since they were talking on the 1st of January, she will indeed be already 25 a year from that day. The detective stormed into the lab just in time to stop the theft of a groundbreaking secret formula. 2 women stood under the harsh fluorescent lights, both dressed as scientists. But the detective knew one was the real deal and the other a clever thief with plans to swipe the priceless formula. One woman clutched a folder filled with papers. She had her ID badge clipped to her coat. The other one held a flask. So who's the thief? The detective noticed one subtle detail: a pair of pristine white gloves peeking out of the pocket of one of the ladies. Real scientist gloves don't stay clean for long in a lab. The spotless gloves were a giveaway. This lady wasn't experimenting. She was staging a heist and trying to leave no fingerprints behind. The detective decided to rest at the park. Suddenly, he heard a young girl crying. She told him someone stole her puppy of a rare and expensive breed. 3 people nearby are acting suspiciously. 2 women and a man. The first woman is holding a leash and claims it belongs to her own dog. The second woman is holding a bag of dog treats and says she has no idea what's going on. The man says he's just out for a jog and saw nothing. Who is hiding the truth? The detective notices it instantly. The first woman holding the leash is suspicious. It makes sense for someone to have a leash if they own a dog, but this leash is unusually clean and unused, with no signs of wear or scratches on the metal clasp. The second woman with the dog treats probably brought them to feed stray dogs or train her own pet. And it looks like the man isn't lying and really doesn't have anything to do with all this. The doctor gave her patient 4 pills of 2 types, 2 pills of each type. It's impossible to tell one from another, but it's important that the patient takes 1 pill of each type in the morning and the same in the evening. If he does something wrong, it could cost him his life. And yep, the pills got mixed up, and only you can save the patient's life. Can you figure out how to take the pills now? Just go back to the doctor and ask for more pills. Well, maybe it could work out in real life, but we're flexing the brain muscles here, so no. The patient will have to split each pill in half and take half of each pill in the morning and evening. A priceless crown arrived at a museum, and by priceless, I actually mean worth millions of dollars. It was still not on display, and only employees knew it was there. So when the crown went missing, the boss knew one of them had stolen it. She gathered all the staff in the exhibit room and told them she knew how to find the thief. Each of them had to walk past a special painting while the lights were turned off. The painting would scan everyone and reveal a faint glow when the thief passed by. The painting didn't glow at all during the procedure, but the boss knew exactly who had stolen the crown. How did she figure it out? The thief was the only one who hadn't walked past the painting. They believed it would glow, although their boss just made it up. A time traveler from the future accidentally stepped into the wrong portal and landed in our time. The portal he used has closed and he's stranded. He searched for a way to reopen it and noticed a strange message glowing on a screen nearby. How can he use this to reopen the portal? Did you notice that huge clock on the wall? The traveler must rotate the clock's hand, both the hour and minute hands, to align at the points mentioned in the note. He carefully set the hands at the right time, one after the other. When he aligned them one last time, the portal reopened and he stepped back into his time. Look at this beautiful family. One of these kiddos is named Kyle, and he's standing at the edge. If Liz were standing next to Sam, Paul would end up next to his namesake. Can you tell who's standing where? Liz is definitely not standing next to Sam. For her to be next to Sam, the girl would need to stand in the second spot from the left. Then, 2 namesakes would be next to each other to the right. So here they're from the left to right. Kyle, then Sam, Paul, Liz, and the second Paul. You're standing in front of a locked door. Your best friend is trapped on the other side. Whoa! Something is popping up on the screen. There's a hammer, a puzzle piece, a flashlight, and a rope. It looks like you must solve this riddle to rescue your friend. I hope you figured it out, because your bestie is pretty scared. It's the flashlight. You need to shine a light on the hidden code on the door to unlock it before using any other tools. Sophia and Lily were taking part in a local crafts fair. They were preparing for months. Sophia was really determined to sell all of her art because she made a bet with her husband. But the weather that day was just terrible. No one showed up to browse or buy anything. After hours of waiting with no customers in sight, both girls got really upset. Finally, they came up with a clever idea of how to sell everything, but without making any money. So, what did they do? Sophia and Lily simply sold their art to each other. Neither of them made a profit or loss. This way, they both technically sold everything. Mom comes home after a long day and immediately notices her favorite vase, the one she inherited from her grandma, shattered on the floor. She calls her 3 kiddos into the living room: Liam, Mia, and Zoe. None of them admits they did it. Liam says he was reading a book in his room and only came downstairs to greet Mom. Mia claims she was watching TV when she heard the vase breaking into pieces. Zoe says she was sleeping, but the vase drama woke her up. Mom inspected the scene and knew who did it. Can you do the same? Zoe broke the vase. The trail of wet footprints matches the drips from her popsicle, and she definitely wasn't enjoying a popsicle in her sleep. How many riddles did you manage to solve? Let us know in the comments. The day of the inter-school wizard duel had finally arrived. Moonshade Academy was receiving students from the nearby schools when Alex, Mira, and Theo noticed something strange. They had left their wands above a counter in the main hall, but now they were all gone. To compete, they needed to find their wands in under 10 minutes. Take a look at the image and see if you can find any clue about where the wands might be. Well, what about those muddy footprints leading to the potions room? Those look pretty suspicious, so the 3 wizards decide to follow them all the way to the next room. When they arrived, they found a disturbing scenario. The potion cabinet was open and lots of potions were missing. These thieves were planning on cheating their way to the top. There were 3 potions left that could help them find their wands. The first one, with the image of an ear, replayed sounds of the past, so they could hear everything that happened in the room. The second one, with an eye on it, revealed traces of magical objects. The third one, with a dog on it, enhanced the sense of smell so they could sniff any object they wanted to. Which potion should they use? Let's see. The first one wouldn't help them locate their wands, and the third one would probably be a bit confusing since there were 3 wands to locate. So they should definitely use the sight potion and track the traces of all magical objects moved until they found their wands. The potion led them all the way down to the dungeon where Moonshade students kept their dragons. When they arrived, they noticed that their dragons were super stressed. Actually, Mira's dragon looked like it was about to get sick. Take a look at the image. Can you spot the reason why Mira's dragon is not feeling well? If you have a good eye, you've definitely got this one right. The faint blue trace of the magic potion led all the way to Mira's dragon's belly. There are 3 blue lights shining inside her dragon's belly. These must be the lost wands. The thieves probably hid it in the dragon food and made Mira's dragon eat them to hide them. Yikes! The trio gave Mira's dragon a potion to get their wands out and ran back to the main hall for the start of the tournament. As soon as they got back to the main salon, the headmaster announced that a dangerous criminal had escaped from a high-security prison and was hiding amongst the students. Alex was chosen to identify the criminal. He narrowed the suspects down to 3 people. The first girl was dressed in a scuba costume. She said she had been on a mission to free a mermaid. The second woman was dressed in a dirty wedding gown. She said she had just arrived from a parallel reality. where she saved a bride from a terrible villain. The third woman had her school uniform, but it was burnt. She said she was practicing spells and one of them went terribly wrong, so she almost put herself on fire. Can you guess who the criminal is? It's the third woman. She had no wand with her, so she couldn't have been practicing spells. Plus, the uniform is too small. She probably stole it from one of the real students. Then, it was Theo's time to prove his talents. He was left at a crossroads. Before him, there were 3 roads. One led him to a safe town, the second one to a dangerous forest, and the third to a mountain pass full of rocky debris. There were magical beings standing on the entrance to each road, and they could each answer one question. Theo decided to ask them all the same question. He asked them which road led to the safe town. The creature guarding the first path said that if he wanted to reach town, this wasn't the road. The second creature said that that was the road Theo needed. And the third creature said that if he took the first road, he would get lost. Which road should Theo take to get to the safe town? He should take the third road. The last creature was the only one who didn't talk about his specific road, but rather another one. So he should go down the third road to get to the safe town. The next task got a bit more complicated. Mira needed to cross the everlasting sands, a dangerous desert. She had 6 days to do it on camelback, but there was a catch. She could only carry enough food for 4 days and needed to be the sole person to do the complete journey. She could invite other people to tag along and help her, but only for a few days. These extra people could take extra food and share it all amongst them. How many friends do you think she should invite so that there's enough food for everyone? Let's see. She'll need to invite at least 2 people. Let's say Theo and Alex decided they wanted to tag along. By the end of the first day, they'll have enough food for 9 days. If they ate the equivalent of 3 days of food from Theo's bag, Alex would still have 1 day of food left to head back home and not need to cross the desert. Mira and Theo can continue the crossing with an 8-day food package. At the end of the second day, the total food supply will be reduced to a 6-day package. Now, Theo will have enough food for 2 days in his package, and he can head back home. This will help Mira to finish the 4 last days by herself. Yikes! This tournament is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Now it was Theo's turn to compete. He needed to cross a portal into a dark forest and look for a witch's house. He could only come back after retaining a strand of the witch's hair. After walking a few miles in the dark, he found the witch's house. The witch said she would willingly give him a strand of her hair if he helped her find a hawk's feather that went missing from her cabinet. The witch suspected one of her elves had taken it, so Theo went to investigate the case. Arian said that he was out all day picking berries with the fairies. Elowin said he spent the day at another witch's house testing an anti-aging potion. Ilaria was sorting out the bad herbs from the garden and didn't notice anything weird going on in the house. Theo immediately knew what had happened. Take a look at the picture. Can you figure it out too? It wasn't any of the elves. Theo noticed that the feather had fallen down and was stuck in a crack on the floor. Hey, dear Brightside Detective, meet James. He's a regular guy, at first sight. In reality, very strange things tend to happen to him. See for yourself. Once James went swimming at a local lake, and guess what? One of the other beachgoers turned out to be a visitor from space. Look at these people attentively and help James figure out which one it is. It's the guy swimming in the lake. See that tentacle? It must belong to him, which makes him an extraterrestrial visitor. So bizarre. Luckily, he turned out to be pretty chill, and James made a new exotic friend.
Hello.
On the other hand, James's new acquaintance had a quirk. He liked making Earthlings crack his riddles. So, he asked James all of a sudden, "I'm a person, I'm a fruit, and I'm a bird. What am I?" Can you help our guy find the answer? The correct answer is kiwi.
Oh.
The next riddle seems simple, but was it? It went like this. People buy me to eat, but never eat me. What am I? James actually spent quite some time trying to figure out the answer. How about you? It's a plate.
Oh my.
But James's new friend didn't stop. The next riddle was even trickier. He showed James a box and asked him to guess what was inside. Apparently, it was a color, but James could also eat it. What can it be? Inside the box was an orange. Luckily, James guessed correctly, so the visitor from outside the solar system gave him the fruit and let him be.
Yeah.
James breathed out and escaped from his weirdo of an acquaintance. He decided that after a nice swim, it was high time to go to a museum. He was looking at some pretty cool statues at the museum when suddenly he realized that one of them wasn't actually a statue. Which one was it? And how did he understand it? Look at the statue on the left. It has no wrist, so it must be the real thing. The head of the right statue has been replaced. See that seam on its neck? So it must be a statue too. But the one in the middle is a living and breathing human. Look at his pink cheeks and the drops of sweat on his forehead. Must be difficult to hold that arm raised all the time. At one point, James paid attention to 3 other visitors of the exhibition. All of them were very beautiful women, and James immediately fell in love. Yep, he's a very amorous guy. Sadly, one of James's new love interests is a vampire's wife. Let's save the poor guy and tell him which lady he should stay away from.
Oh.
The lady on the left might just have a very pale complexion. The one on the right is probably drinking some red-colored juice or cocktail. But the woman in the middle has been bitten recently. Look at her neck. So she must be the wife. Run, James, run! After having barely avoided grave danger, James decided to relieve stress and went to the gym. Beside him, there were only 2 other visitors, 2 young ladies. The one on the left is working out, and the one on the right is taking selfies on the latest iPhone. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which of them is indeed rich and which is just a make-believe. To understand it, you need to pay close attention to details. The woman on the left is wearing a cool fitness watch, which must be pretty expensive. Her training shoes are high quality but a bit worn out. It means she's a regular at that gym. Also, she has wireless ear pods, and a personal trainer is right next to her. As for the woman on the right, she looks flashy with her iPhone and jewelry. But if you look closely, you'll understand that this jewelry is cheap. And instead of sneakers, she's wearing flats. It seems she's never been to a fancy gym before, and she used a free trial entrance to take as many pics as possible. So the lady on the left is actually rich. Now, back to that orange James got from his extraterrestrial friend. He bought 4 more and gave all the 5 oranges to 5 boys he knew. They started eating the fruit. A finished eating before B, but after C. D finished before E, but after B. In what order did the boys finish eating apples? C, A, B, D, E. On his way home, James noticed that his neighbor's house was on fire. He also saw a firefighter nearby, but the man was just standing there doing nothing. Why wasn't this professional helping James's neighbor? Can you figure it out? Let's see how attentive you are. Have you noticed those pumpkins and Halloween decorations? The guy isn't a real firefighter and he's just wearing a Halloween costume. So James had to take matters into his own hands and help his neighbor put the fire out.
Oh my God!
The next day, James was invited to his cousin's wedding. But half an hour before the ceremony, the guy pulled his cousin aside and told her that her husband-to-be was cheating on her. How did he know? James spotted a lipstick stain on the fiancé's shirt, and the color was different from the one his cousin was wearing.
Oh no!
The wedding was canceled, and the fiancé got really angry. He locked James in a small room. To get out of there, the guy needed to figure out the password. It's the answer to this riddle. It can be hot, it can be cold. It can rush, and it can stay still. It can be hard, and it can slip through anything. What is it?
Oh my God!
It's water. After figuring it out, James was out of the room in no time. For a week, James's life was pretty uneventful until he got a call from a friend who lived in a different town. He claimed that a vampire family had moved into the houses next to his, and he was very worried. James couldn't leave him in the lurch, so he went there and found the right street. He saw 3 houses. James came up to the house which he thought was weird. Which one did he choose? A, B, or C? What do you think? Look at the footprints. Aren't they kind of strange? They lead to and from houses A and C. But what about house B? The footprints only lead in one direction, inside. Apparently, people come in, but they never get out of there. Creepy. James decided to check the house. He rang the bell. The vampire's wife opened the door. "A human, finally!" she exclaimed. "We need your help. Someone attacked my husband. Please find out who did it." James was shocked but entered the house. He saw the vampire family. He asked them what they'd been doing during the attack. The brother said he'd been sleeping in his coffin. The son answered that he'd been cleaning his clothes and hadn't seen anything. And the wife said she'd been playing the piano. James immediately understood who had attacked the vampire. Have you figured it out? It was the vampire's brother. He'd said he'd been sleeping in his coffin, but this coffin is too small for him to fit inside. He's a liar. The vampire's brother got angry, but allowed James to leave. He even showed the guy where the exit was. But James saw not 1, but 3 doors. The room behind the first door was filled with dangerous, toxic gas. Behind the second door, a huge rock was hanging over the entrance. As soon as something or someone got inside, it would fall down. There was a hungry tiger waiting for its prey in the third room. Which door should James opt for? The guy took off one of his sneakers, opened the second door, and threw it inside. The rock crushed the shoe, and James easily got out of the house through the second door.
The other day, Mike had a dentist appointment. When he came to the dentist's office, he saw 2 doors leading to the rooms. The administrator was away, so Mike decided to find the right room himself. He opened the right door first, and then he checked the left room too. Where was the real dentist? The real dentist was behind the left door. Look, the dentist stands over the chair and holds a dental instrument in his hands. In the chair, there's a teenager who's having his teeth professionally cleaned. But behind the right door, the dentist is holding a tattooing machine. A teen in that room is looking at him with suspicion. Jennifer was exploring some spooky old house, looking for fancy antique things. Some hours later, she got tired and decided to have a quick lunch, which she had packed in the morning. She went to the dining room with a large table and 3 chairs, lit the candles, and was about to take a seat. But all of a sudden, she spotted something weird about most of the chairs in that room. What chair should Jennifer sit on? Jennifer was super attentive. That's why she sat on the chair in the middle. The one on the left has a sharp nail sticking out, and the one on the right is already taken. Look! There's a ghost sitting on it. Stuart was taking the final cooking exam. He has always wanted to be a chef, and he was about to take one step closer to his dream. The professor said the one who answered all his questions would get the certificate with honors and the money prize of $10,000. The most important thing is that this person will also be offered a sous chef position at one of the most prestigious restaurants in Paris. All the students answered 19 questions, and the professor read the last and the most complicated one. What product will never be salty when you boil it, no matter how much salt you add? 2 days later, Stuart was on his way to Paris. He was the only one to know the answer. What product was the professor talking about? It's an egg in the shell. No matter how much salt there is in the water, the boiled egg won't be salty. Fiona left her husband a shopping list for him to go to the supermarket. These guys are really into riddles, so the list was full of them. Fiona wanted Mark to buy something that has eyes but can't see, something that has ears but can't hear, and the wealthiest nuts. What did Fiona want Mark to buy? Fiona needed some potatoes, corn, and cashews. Jenny was locked in a room with 15 other people. Each of them could see the entire room and all the people inside without turning their head or body or moving in any other way. To get out of the room, Jenny had to place an orange in such a way that everyone but one person could see it. The girl managed to do it. But how? She put the orange on one person's head. A notorious bad guy caught wealthy businessman Brian and locked him in a room. "I won't let you go until you double the money I'll leave for you." And the criminal put $5,000 on the table. By the time he returned, Brian had already doubled the money. He hadn't left the room or communicated with anyone. Then how did he do it? He put the money in front of the mirror. Early in the morning, Ashton got a call from his friend, an owner of a big company. The man was in distress. A very important contract had disappeared from his office. It had been on the desk the evening before, but nowhere to be found in the morning. Ashton immediately headed to the office to question the employees. In no time, he had 3 suspects. Ben said he had spent the previous evening at the movies. Mason had taken his girlfriend out to dinner, and Jesse had been invited to a party. It didn't take Liam long to understand who was lying. It was Ben. His ticket wasn't torn, so he didn't actually go to the movies. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone stole all the money from the office. A detective arrived for interrogation. A cook said that he was working hard and didn't have time to walk or gaze around, so he didn't see anything. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't steal anything. The waiter said he remembered seeing one visitor heading to the office. Somehow he ignored it and didn't stop them. The waiter got arrested for stealing the money. Why? The restaurant wasn't open yet. There could be no visitors. Blake was a writer applying for a job in a fashion magazine. However, the boss was a whimsical woman. Blake did the interview well, but still, the woman didn't want to hire her because Blake was too young. The boss poured some water into a glass and asked Blake to get her some apple juice to fail her. However, there were two conditions. She wanted the water in the glass, but didn't want it to mix with the juice. Still, Blake figured out how to do it and got the job. How? She just put the glass in the freezer and waited till the water got frozen, then she poured the juice on top of it. Della was having a birthday party. She invited 3 people over and got 3 presents, a pair of heels, a bag of makeup, and golden earrings. However, Eloise didn't like one of the presents. Can you guess which one and why? She didn't like the golden earrings just because she couldn't wear them. Her ears aren't pierced. Well, maybe she will consider piercing them. Jason is making pizza for his family, and Savannah went outside to make some grilled vegetables. Which one of them does something wrong? Jason. He forgot to turn on the oven. James was a famous detective who could crack even the hardest cases. Once, he was investigating a case and found some crucial evidence. The next morning, he woke up in a well. It was old, deep, but luckily not filled with water, but quite dusty. On the flip side, there was no way he could get out to the surface. Suddenly, James saw his main suspect's face at the top of the well. "You won't live long enough to rat me out," the man shouted. And then, the detective felt soil falling on his head. The bad guy was going to bury him alive. But in an hour, James was already out of the well and running away. How did he manage to get out? The detective started to shake off and tamp down the soil that was falling into the well. He was getting closer and closer to the surface until he managed to jump out and run away. Jane was walking home late. She was pretty tired, so she decided to take a bus. It was midnight, but the bus was packed with people. You get a gut feeling later that there's something wrong with some of these people. Who's a zombie? There are 20 people on the bus. There are 2 zombies among them. A man on the right has a bit of a bandage on his arm, and the woman next to the window seems to be groaning all the time. All the people in town thought Jack wasn't smart enough. Every time somebody offered him a 50C coin or a $1 bill, he would always choose the 50C coin. Many people every day would offer him to do it, but he never grabbed the bill. Why was Jack smart? Jack was actually pretty smart because he would get money without doing anything. As long as he agreed to get less money for no reason, people would come and try his trick again and again. See that car? Jack's been refusing $1 bills for over 10 years now, so he saved up enough money to get a car. You find yourself in a photo gallery. After looking at the wall, you realize that one of the pictures doesn't belong. You see a raccoon, a llama, a football, and a balloon. Can you tell which is the odd one out? You have 7 seconds to guess. It's the llama picture. The other 3 objects have 2 double letters in their names, but the llama only has 1 double. And trust me, don't get too close to the llama. They might spit in your face. It's not fun. You have 3 matches. Can you make a 6 out of them without breaking them into pieces? Who said the number 5 has to be a standard 6? The match is made a perfect Roman numeral 3 right from the get-go. So all you have to do is bring the bottoms of the first two matches toward each other, and you've got a Roman numeral 6. It's your first day in the new office. Some colleagues don't seem really friendly, and you can't understand why. They also act strange, never have coffee breaks, and work at least 12 hours a day. A secretary at the reception desk, Lauren, tells that their company hires robots sometimes because they work harder than people and aren't addicted to coffee. She also says to stay away from them and try not to talk to them or even greet them because they can be unpredictable sometimes. It's quite easy to tell who's a robot. Can you guess who's a robot among these three people? Anna, Mike, and Lucy? It's Mike. He's the only one among three people who have a switch on the right.
Kim and Ashley are best friends. They decided to spend summer vacation in Italy together. They were very lucky to buy cheap plane tickets. Their flight was at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, when the girls arrived at the airport, they realized it was the wrong one. Now they have two options: take a high-speed train for $100 to go to the right airport, or stay here and buy tickets for a later flight for $400. What should they choose? The second option. Look at the clock on the wall. It's 9:55 a.m. The boarding for their flight is already over. They won't make it even if they take the high-speed train. Kim and Ashley bought new tickets. They went to the airport restaurant to drink coffee. But one weird detail scared Kim away. She suggested they should leave that place as soon as possible. What did Kim see? This woman over there is a zombie. Wow, how did she get through security? When it was finally time to board the plane, it turned out there were no more economy class seats left. Kim and Ashley were offered to fly in business class. There, the girls saw three people. When the flight attendant served them fresh juice, she whispered that Kim and Ashley were extremely lucky. They were about to travel next to a famous Italian billionaire. Can you guess which of these passengers is the billionaire? This glamorous lady is a good candidate, but it's very unlikely a billionaire will wear a 100% polyester coat. This guy's business suit is very elegant, but look at his shoes. They seem quite cheap and worn out. This funny gentleman must be the real billionaire. Although his outfit is rather casual, his gold watch looks very expensive. The glamorous lady began to chat with Kim and Ashley. She told them she had recently visited an exotic island with her friends. Then she showed the girls some pictures. When the lady went to the bathroom, Ashley whispered to Kim, "This woman is a liar. She photoshopped this picture." How did Ashley know that? It's all about the shadows. They all look natural except for this one. The glamorous lady took a sip of her juice and started coughing. Suddenly, she fainted and fell into the billionaire's arms. He was ready to shout for help, but Kim stopped him, saying the woman was faking it. How did she know that? Look at the content of her bag. It's full of the billionaire's pictures and magazine articles. She also has a tattoo with his portrait on her leg. This woman is obsessed with him. It was lunchtime, and the billionaire offered Kim to play a game. There were 3 boxes. One of them contained a meal. There was a statement on each box, but only one of them was true. Can you help Kim figure out which box has food inside? If the food is in the first box, there are 2 true statements. And if the food is in the third box, there are also 2 true statements. But we need just 1 true statement. That's why the food can only be in the second box. Kim opened the box. She saw a delicious meal and a bank card. The billionaire said, "Congratulations, you've won $5 million. Enjoy your trip." Kim and Ashley landed in Rome and went to get their luggage. It turned out that Ashley had had the same suitcase as 2 other passengers, and they had a little quarrel. Can you help distribute the 3 suitcases among these people? The first suitcase belongs to this woman. It's covered in her dog's hair. The second suitcase has some traces of a star sticker. You've probably noticed it before on Ashley's bag. And the third suitcase belongs to this man. Since Kim and Ashley were now very rich, they decided to find a real estate agent who could help them rent a luxurious villa. They wanted to spend their vacation there. The agent showed them 3 houses. Can you help the girls choose the best one? There are cockroaches in the first house. They won't make very pleasant neighbors. The second house is too old. There's a crack in the wall, which doesn't look safe. And the third house looks pretty good. As for the pool, it can be easily cleaned.
Yes!
Kim and Ashley left the villa and went sightseeing. When they returned, they found out that someone had stolen their passports from the safe. The girls called the police and they interrogated 3 suspects. The chef was too busy making dinner for Kim and Ashley. The cleaner was dealing with the pool all day, and the gardener said he had been outside planting flowers. He didn't notice anything suspicious. Who's lying? The gardener. If he planted the flowers, where are they? The police returned Kim and Ashley their passports and arrested the gardener. The next day, the girls went shopping. Sellers wanted to take advantage of rich and naive tourists and offered them overpriced souvenirs. Only one of these 3 items is a good deal.
Oh.
Can you guess which one? Take a look at this Venetian mask. It says "Made in China," which means that this mask can't be real. This magnet is of very low quality. The word Italy is spelled with an error. It simply can't cost $100. This blue cheese doesn't look fresh, but it's normal for this kind of product. This delicacy is the only thing that Kim and Ashley can buy here for a fair price. The ladies went to the local museum and got lost in its corridors. They found a strange basement with 3 doors. There was a time portal to the Middle Ages behind the first door. Behind the second door, there was an evil mummy. It cursed anyone who bothered it. Finally, the third door was protected with a laser alarm system. It cut through anything that touched the laser beams. Which door should the girls choose? The second one. The mummy is sleeping peacefully inside its sarcophagus. If Kim and Ashley are quiet and don't come close, they can just walk by it. When the girls got outside, they saw a crowd of reporters around the museum. Someone has stolen the most expensive painting. The police questioned 3 suspects. Giovanni, the cleaner, said he had been washing the bathroom when the theft happened. Luca, the museum guide, saw a suspicious woman with a large folder not far from the crime scene. And Bianca, the suspicious woman, was just drawing sketches as part of her art school homework. Who's lying? Luca. He has a rolled canvas under his shirt. Kim and Ashley came to a restaurant to enjoy the local cuisine, but they noticed a vampire among the visitors, so the girls decided to leave. Which visitor is the vampire? This elderly lady is wearing sunglasses in the evening. Also, she doesn't have a shadow. Then Kim and Ashley took a boat trip. A local photographer took their picture and printed it on 2 similar t-shirts. Then he offered the girls to buy these souvenirs. But Kim noticed 3 differences between these pictures. Can you see them too? Here they are. The ladies came to a bakery. Kim ordered a salad and coffee, while Ashley wanted to eat something sweet. The barista offered her 3 remaining options. Help Ashley make the right choice. Someone has already tasted this cupcake. Ants live inside this donut. It's probably not very fresh. But this croissant is safe. The green color is pistachio glaze, not mold. In the evening, Kim and Ashley arrived at the villa. The owner was there and he was furious. He hadn't received any rental payment because Kim and Ashley's card presented by the billionaire was blocked. Suddenly, they heard breaking news on TV. Some scammers had robbed the billionaire. All his accounts were empty. 3 people commented on the situation. The billionaire's driver said his boss had many enemies. The billionaire's girlfriend complained that now she couldn't even afford a new haircut, and his PA said they would try to return the money soon. Ashley knew for sure that one of them was hiding something. But who? The girlfriend. If she had no money, how come she left the boutique with so many purchases? The owner of the villa offered Kim and Ashley a deal. If you manage to prepare my favorite cocktail, I'll forget about your debt. The girls had no choice, so they agreed. The man gave them the recipe, but the last ingredient was coded. Can you guess what ingredient it is? If you mix blue and yellow, you'll get green. So the ingredient must be green grapes. Next morning, Kim and Ashley woke up locked in a room with 2 doors as the only exit. If they chose the wrong door, they would stay in the room forever. And if they picked the correct door, they would end up with loads of jewelry, money, and designer clothing that would be enough for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
2 guards were standing in front of them. One guard always lied, while the other always told the truth. Kim and Ashley didn't know their identities. The girls could only ask one question. What should they ask? The question should be, if I asked the other guard which door leads to the treasures, what would he say? If they asked the guard who always tells the truth, he would say that the other guard would point to the wrong door. And if they asked the liar, he would point to the wrong door too. In either case, both guards would point to the wrong door. So Kim and Ashley should just choose the other door.
Gemma entered a haunted house to take pictures. But suddenly, someone closed the door and locked her inside. She spent the whole day in total darkness. Then, the lights turned on, and a creepy clown appeared in front of her. "There's a game I want to play with you," he said. The clown offered Gemma 3 bowls of soup. 2 of them are poisoned and 1 is safe. If she chooses the safe one, the clown will set her free. Can you help Gemma to make a wise choice? Ingredients in the first soup look like pills. The second soup contains suspicious blue carrots. Probably these are not safe, therefore the green one is safe. Can you find a hidden number in this picture? That's right, it's 9175. Can you find a hidden number in this picture? That's right, it's 341. But I'm sure you'll manage to spot a hidden number in this picture. Well done, it's 900. Take a look at this picture. Can you spot the owner of this dog? The red-haired lady is the owner of the dog. Take a look at the dog's collar. It has a picture of the owner. Paul worked in a large company. He left the office to have lunch one day, but he didn't find his car in the parking lot. He immediately called the police. The police soon found the car and started to chase the criminal. But the criminal left the car and ran to the park. The police caught 3 suspects. Jill said she was jogging in the park. Peter was waiting for his girlfriend. And Amy was walking and enjoying nature. Who stole the car? Amy. Although she was enjoying nature, she had the same key that had gone missing. Can you find a hidden dice among all these pieces of cheese? It's over here. Although it looks like cheese, you better watch your teeth. Take a look at this pattern. Can you spot an odd detail? This bunch has more grapes than the others. Let's dive into the water for a while. The bottom of the ocean is full of life, but can you see any fish? It's hiding over here. Here's an eye challenge to read a blurred quote. Can you see this phrase? It says, "Well done is better than well said." Can you spot a panda and a soccer ball among all these snowmen? The ball is over here, and the panda is hiding in the right corner. Look at this picture very attentively. Can you see anything dangerous in this picture? A snake is hiding in the bushes. One morning, Dan went to work as usual. He was a professional athlete and had a lot of awards. When he got back home, he found out that his most valuable trophy was gone. His gold medal was stolen. He called the police to report the missing medal. The detective interrogated Bob's neighbor and found 4 suspects: Rick, Tom, Sarah, and Molly. Each neighbor was carrying a house plan. Who robbed Dan? It was Sarah. Look, the house plan matches his house perfectly. Josh ordered some delicious sushi for a picnic outdoors. Look at the picture carefully. Can you spot any odd components in this meal? There's a green caterpillar in here. See? It probably fell from a tree. I wouldn't recommend eating that anyway. Someone painted the entire playground in the park with graffiti. The police questioned 3 suspects. The detective didn't tell them what he had suspected them of. He asked one simple question: "What are you doing in this park?" Robert said he was going to the birthday of his friend who lives near the park. Rick was looking for his missing dog, who had run away this morning. And Derek was just having lunch in the park. He didn't see any graffiti artists. Who is suspicious? Derek. The detective didn't say anything about the graffiti, but Derek already started defending himself. Can you find the hidden gold coin? It's over here in the left corner. Look at this pattern very attentively. Can you spot anything odd? Someone has bitten this banana. Can you find the right shadow? The correct answer is D. Can you see any numbers on this picture? The correct answer is 1479. Look at these ladies. They all look nice, but the one you choose will tell you something about your personality. If you choose the first lady, you're very friendly and easygoing. Some people may think you're too naive, but you're just a very sensitive and curious person who sees life as an adventure. If you chose the second lady, you're a very loyal and passionate person. When you're in love, you become invincible. If you chose the third lady, it means you love to have fun and nothing can confuse you or make you feel down. Take a look at this picture. Can you spot a person who's in the safest position? The guy in the car is the safest. What number do you see in this picture puzzle? Number 517. Ryan wants to get a job at the museum. He successfully passed the interview, but his employer gave him a final test. Help Ryan determine which portrait is antique. This guy is wearing a fitness tracker, so he's probably not from the Middle Ages. The lady looks very authentic, but take a look at this lamp. Therefore, the portrait of this mysterious old man is original. Good job, Ryan, you're hired. Can you spot a penguin among the toucans? This guy over here. Jack and Jill just moved into a new house. While they were unpacking their boxes, the doorbell rang. They opened the door and saw 3 neighbors standing on the porch. Kitty brought cupcakes, Mrs. Green brought soup, and Amber brought an apple pie. Help Jill and Jack identify the safe neighbor. Kitty's cupcakes contain cockroaches. Amber's cake seems to have some pills hidden in the apples. Therefore, Mrs. Green with her strange soup is the most harmless neighbor. Can you find... Time is up, it's over here. Tina was preparing a birthday dinner in the kitchen. An hour later, her friend found her unconscious on the floor. She called the ambulance and the police arrived to question witnesses. The detective discovered 3 clues: 1 sneaker, 1 glove, and 1 slipper. Then he asked the witnesses to describe what they were doing while Tina was preparing the dinner. Soon, the detective found out who poisoned Tina. How did he know? Tina left a left shoe, left glove, and left slipper. She was trying to show that the poisoner was left-handed. What's wrong with this picture? If you saw a raccoon walking on 2 legs first, you're probably a very intelligent and strong-willed person. Friends can always count on your loyalty. If you promise something, you'll never break your word. If you spotted 2 suns first, you're a very calm and open-minded person. You prefer to avoid drama and unnecessary attention. But people come to you for advice and support because you view this world as a whole, and your opinions are sage and impartial. If you noticed a tree blooming in the middle of winter, it means that you're a very romantic and sentimental person. You feel the beauty of this world very intensely, and you need an environment that will nourish your soul and appreciate your uniqueness. With this kind of support, you can easily make this world a better place.
Space-time collapse has occurred recently in one of the most remote galaxies in the universe, the Rhino's Eye. A group of space scientists accidentally integrated an ultra-deferential evaluator into a quasi-spatial thermostat. How could you? Well, in simple words, somebody put a time machine, which looked like a TV remote control, inside a teleport that looked like a washing machine. So now, dozens of time and space anomalies are popping up all over the galaxy. You're the leader of the Universe Security. This highly developed group of humanoid creatures with dog heads monitors the order in the universe and eliminates all kinds of stellar problems and space-time anomalies. With your squad, you now have to deal with the consequences of today, tomorrow, and yesterday's incidents and turn off the teleporting time machine. You get into your Star Poodle ship and set off on a dangerous journey. The first stop is the planet Up. There, all intelligent and unintelligent life forms move vertically. All people, animals, and other amazing creatures move only up, climbing endless stairs. That's where an alien object from another galaxy and another time has appeared. Find something or someone that's not from this world. Look, there's a snail crawling along that rope ladder. It's moving horizontally. You put the snail in a jar. You're going to send it home to the planet Slime. Surprisingly, the snail can speak. It asks you for help. An unknown monster has appeared on its world, and now it terrifies all the inhabitants of the slime world. You decide to help and fly to the snail's planet. Just snails and caterpillars live here. The whole world is covered in a thick layer of slime. You can see huge snails, little ones, and even several snails the size of a skyscraper. But there is also an outsider among them. Take a good look around and find the imposter. Among snail shells, you notice the shell of a big hermit crab. It looks like any other snail shell, but a pair of claws peek out of it. You set up a force field around the crab and transport it to your ship. Your mission here is over. The snails are grateful to you. Your next task is saving the planet Sterilium. This is the most sterile planet in the entire universe. There's no dirt, no microbes, and no bacteria there. One-eyed flying crystals inhabit this pure sterile world. They can't talk since they don't have mouths, but they communicate telepathically. Your brain receives a signal from them. The crystals are asking for help. A huge meteorite is approaching the planet Sterilium, and you need to destroy it. You can't land on the planet because you might bring microbes here. Instead, you approach the asteroid and scan its composition. You find out the asteroid has come here from a parallel universe. It consists of sugar. Well, you tell the crystals they don't need to worry and fly away from the asteroid without doing anything. Why are you sure nothing bad will happen to Sterilium? The sugar asteroid will melt and burn up in the planet's atmosphere in a matter of seconds. You find out that a guest from the future has turned up on Earth 9. Technologies on this planet are not developed. Even the steam engine hasn't been invented yet. So you decide to perform your mission secretly. You arrive at the field and see 3 farmers. They walk on the plowed land and carry vegetables. One of them is a farmer from the future. But who? Look, that guy is using a plastic bag. You send him to his time and are about to fly away. But then, you notice something strange. 3 billion people live on Earth 9, and all of them are supposed to look different. But for some reason, they're identical in appearance. You see 3 billion farmers working in one huge field. You have a powerful sense of smell, and you feel that the inhabitants of this planet aren't human. They smell like nothing. Take a look at this army of farmers and find out who they are. They are all holograms. One of the farmers is flickering, see? But why would someone create such a huge optical illusion? At this moment, all the farmers, the land, trees, and grass begin to blink. The whole world around you disappears. You are inside a small white room now. Your face turns into a human one. Your mouth is covered with a bandage so you can't speak. Your spacesuit turns into a gray shirt. The door opens and a big guy in a white coat enters. He gives you a mop and a bucket of water. "Wash the room," he says, and leaves. You don't remember who you are or how you got here. You need to find out what's going on, but first you need to know what you look like. How can you figure it out in a white room without any glass surfaces, mirrors, and windows? Take a look at the water in the bucket. It'll show you your reflection. You look at the water surface. Everything is clear now. The door opens. You leave the room and walk along a long corridor together with the orderly from before. You pass by a room where other people in gray shirts are sitting. You enter the dining hall. The cook pours you some water and gives you a pink donut. "Lunch," he says. The orderly removes the bandage from your mouth. You bite into a donut. It has no taste at all. At this point, you realize that everything around you is a hallucination. You're on the planet Sterilium under the telepathic influence of its inhabitants. But how did you understand this? When you looked at your reflection in the bucket, you saw your real face, the dog's one. Everything is too clean and sterile around, and the donut has no taste. Crystals don't know what taste is, so they can't create it. They want to study your body to build an immune system for themselves and destroy the galaxy. Well, you've figured out their secret plan, but how will you get out of here? The only way is to use some bacteria. But where can you get microbes on an absolutely sterile planet? At the moment, you look at the orderly and spit at him. Chaos erupts all over the place. The cook screams and runs away. Your shirt disappears. You become the leader of the universe security again, and your head turns into that of a dog. Your saliva contains microbes. When you spat at the crystal, you infected the entire planet. You leave Sterilium during the microbial apocalypse. You meet with your team and are now flying through outer space. Suddenly, you catch a signal from a huge planet called Gectum. It seems the time machine is there. At the moment, the planet is falling into a black hole. You land on Gectum. The sky is slowly becoming black. You notice the shimmering washing machine. This is it. You attach several cables to the machine and lift it onto your ship. The gravitational force of the black hole is growing. Your ship doesn't have enough power to leave this place. What should you do? Use the washing machine. This is also a teleport that can transport you to any point in the universe. You quickly read the attached instructions and open the settings. It worked! Your ship gets teleported to… You land on Gectum. The sky is slowly becoming black. You notice the shimmering washing machine. This is it. You attach several cables to the machine and lift it onto your ship. The gravitational force of the black hole is growing. Your ship doesn't have enough power to leave this place. What should you do? Use the washing machine. This is also a teleport that can transport you to any point in the universe. You quickly read the attached instructions and open the settings. It worked! Your ship gets teleported to… Wait, what's going on? You experience the same episode again and again. Apparently, you've activated not the teleport but the time machine. Now you're stuck in a time loop and endlessly experience the fall into the black hole that devours time and space. How are you going to escape from the loop? You throw the machine into the black hole. The time teleport is destroyed. You've saved the universe. But you're still falling into the black hole together with the planet. To leave it, you need a tug. At this moment, 3 spaceships enter Gectum's orbit. Each of them releases a gravitational beam that can drag you off the planet. Among the 3 ships, only one is friendly and really wants to help you. Which one will you choose? Think fast, the black hole is about to gobble you up. The ship that looks like a snail will help you. After all, you've saved the snail's planet from the giant crab. The big spaceship pulls your star poodle away from the incredible force of gravity. You find yourself in open space and fly away from the black hole as fast as you can. The universe is saved. Now it's time to see your score. 0 to 2 points. Maybe you can save a planet or two, but rescuing a galaxy or the entire universe is still too much for you. 3 to 6 points. Not bad. You can protect the universe, but only from small threats. Sometimes you still feel existential horror because of the impending space problems. 7 to 9 points. You deserve your place on the team of the universe security. But you need to remember that you can't save worlds without your colleagues' help. 10 to 11 points. The universe always needs you. Only you can control time and space and crack the trickiest space mysteries.
Echo is taking part in a game show. He has a chance to win $10,000. Finally, it was time for the last task. The guy has to put his head in one of 3 boxes. In the first one, there are hanging electrical wires. In the second, there are hundreds of Venus flytraps. In the third box, there are dozens of scorpions. Which box should he choose to win the prize and stay safe? He should choose the second box. Venus flytraps don't harm people. Emilia's uncle was a mysterious man working on some secret project in his lab in the basement. He never allowed the girl in. So one day, when the man went to get a cup of coffee, Emilia broke into his lab. The door immediately closed behind her back and locked automatically. The lab was a teleportation machine. It could take Emilia to one of three places. The first place was the ocean where the Titanic had sunk. The second one was the city of Pompeii. A volcano erupted there many centuries ago. The last place was the Bermuda Triangle. What is the safest place for Emilia to go? I'd pick Pompeii. Going to the Titanic or the Bermuda Triangle would take her to the middle of the ocean. And the volcano in Pompeii erupted centuries ago. Now it's safe to be there. Gideon was locked in a dark dungeon. There were three ways out. Behind the first door, there was a room full of poisonous bees that could make people hallucinate. Behind the second door, there was a room without oxygen. Behind the third door, there was a room full of unfriendly aliens. Which way should he choose? The room without the oxygen seems the most promising option. Gideon can hold his breath and quickly walk through the room. In a quiet neighborhood, someone broke into Mr. Edwards' house at night and stole his collection of jewelry. He reported the burglary, and a detective came to investigate the case. First, he visited the neighbors. The detective asked them what they were doing the night before. Kira said she'd been watching TV all night and hadn't gone anywhere. Abel said he'd been on the plane, getting back from Madrid. He just returned home a couple of minutes ago after a month in Spain. Chris said that he'd been sleeping. After the interrogation, the detective knew who the thief was. Have you figured it out? This was Abel. He said he'd just come back home, but look at his kitchen table. There are fresh fruits lying there. If he had been absent for a month, they would have gone rotten by now. It was a cold and rainy day. Detective Callum was in his office when he got a call from a hotel's cleaning man. He said he'd found an unconscious woman in one of the rooms. Detective Callum arrived immediately. By that time, the woman, whose name was Anna, had already come to her senses. The detective asked if there was someone in the city who could help her. Anna said she had a sister, but the woman didn't know anything about her arrival because Anna wanted to surprise her. The detective called Anna's sister and said, "Your sister arrived at the city, but someone attacked her. Please come as soon as possible." As soon as the woman arrived, she was arrested. Why? Anna said that her sister didn't know she was going to visit her. Detective Callum didn't specify where exactly the sister should come, but she still managed to find them. For some reason, she knew where the place was. Autumn is an archaeologist exploring an ancient cave. After a month down there, she found a hidden place with 3 chests. One of them had gold in it. But if the woman picked the wrong chest, she'd get locked in the cave forever.
Uh-oh.
The note on the first chest said, "The gold isn't in chest 2. The second note said, "The gold is in chest 1 or 3. And the last one said, "The gold isn't here." Which chest should she open? If the gold isn't in the second chest, it must be in the first or the third one. But the note on the third chest claims the gold isn't there, so it must be in the first chest. Ben works at a VIP club. His job is to not let any young or suspicious people in. Every day, some visitors with fake IDs try to sneak in, and Ben has to detect which documents are fake. Here are some IDs. Your task is to help Ben decide if people they belong to can enter. Here, look at this one. What will you say? It seems like she was born on the 28th of the 13th month. This ID doesn't look real. Great, another one for you. Should Ben let this guy in? This person is supposed to be 46 years old, but in this photo, he looks like a teenager. I think Ben shouldn't let him in. This is suspicious. What can you say this time? In or out? This ID seems real. I think it's safe to let her in. Another person, another decision. Does anything bother you here? Nope, he seems fine to me. One more to go. Should Ben let her in? Look at her address. Canada, USA? This is weird. I bet it's a fake ID. So I'd say nope. Mason went to visit his grandma, who lived in a different part of his neighborhood. While he was in her house, his bike got stolen. Mason called the police. He said that he'd seen the bike had been taken by Mr. Jones. It was the neighbor the guy had always been arguing with. Mason and a detective came to visit Mr. Jones. The police officer asked if the man had stolen the bike. Mr. Jones denied doing it, saying he'd just finished painting his fence. The detective believed him. Why? His story seems true. There's fresh paint on the grass by the fence, which proves that Mr. Jones indeed painted it just recently. When Quinn returned home after walking her dog, she found out someone had stolen her favorite bracelet from her room.
Oh no!
Her sister, Belle, also liked it. So Quinn went to find her and asked if she had taken the accessory. The girl ran into Belle as she was leaving the bathroom. Belle denied taking the bracelet, saying that she'd been in the shower this whole time. She didn't even have time to enter her sister's room. Quinn sneaked a peek into the bathroom and realized Belle was lying about taking a shower. How did she understand it? If Belle had really taken a shower, the bathroom mirror would be foggy, but look, it's absolutely clear. The city's richest lady, Mrs. Anderson, came to watch a football game. She was sitting on the best seat in the first row. In the middle of the game, she noticed that someone had stolen her diamond necklace. Luckily, a detective was sitting right next to her. He started to observe people around. One person became his main suspect. And who do you suspect? Look, there's a guy dressed as a football player with the number 7 on his back. But as you can see, number 7 is playing the game. Someone must have dressed as a player to blend in. Evie was living with her partner. She didn't want to tell her parents about her relationship yet, so she kept it a secret. Once, her mother came from another city to visit Evie. The girl's partner was on a business trip at that time, so she decided to pretend that she lived alone. And still, her mother could tell that Evie was dating someone. How did she figure it out? There are 2 toothbrushes in the bathroom. One of them is likely to belong to someone else. Alice and Dakota work in the city's animal shelter on the weekends. Alice walks the dog and Dakota feeds the cats. Who does something wrong? Dakota. She gives the cats dog food. Sophie and Ever are having a picnic in the park. Sophie is talking to her brother on the phone, and Ever is eating berries from a bush. Who is not smart? ever. There is a warning sign saying the berries are poisonous. A family is working in the backyard. Atlas is mowing the lawn, and Cassidy is watering the flowers. Can you tell who is doing something wrong? Atlas. It seems that his lawnmower doesn't work properly because the grass doesn't get cut. Tatum woke up in a hospital. 2 men came to visit her. Both of them claim to be her doctor. Can you tell who the real doctor is? Look, this man's name tag says Olivia, which means the real doctor is on the right, and the one on the left must have stolen someone else's uniform. 2 students, Elsa and Isla, are spending the afternoon in the park. Elsa is having lunch sitting on the grass, and Isla is reading on a bench. Who is less smart? Isla. The bench has a sign, wet paint. Mrs. Evans came to a cafe to have lunch and saw her daughter Scarlett sitting at one of the tables. She came up to her and asked the girl why she wasn't at school. Scarlett said that her last class had finished a bit earlier and that she came here just a couple of minutes ago to get an iced coffee. She promised to be gone in 5 minutes. Still, her mother didn't believe her and grounded Scarlett for missing school. Why? The ice in Scarlett's coffee had already melted. This means that she'd been here for a while, way longer than she claims. Melanie was having her written economics exam. One of the questions she had to answer was, what is the risk? She answered the question with just one word, but still got the highest mark. What was the word she wrote? She must have written the word this.
Maya was an undercover police officer. On a Saturday night, she was off duty and decided to go to the movies. When she arrived, she saw 2 women who looked suspicious. She remembered that the police were tracking down a girl who had escaped prison the week before. Have a look at both women. Can you tell if one has escaped prison recently? It's the lady on the left. Her prison uniform is peeking through her coat. I mean, she should have at least changed clothes by now, right? Brianna won a 3-night cruise as part of her influencer deal. After a day at the beach, she arrived back to her room exhausted. She was getting ready to go to bed when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man outside. The man said the hotel database had crashed and he needed to recheck some of her information. Brianna said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone trying to rob her. Examine the image carefully. How did she know the man was a robber? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. Plus, she wasn't at a hotel, but on a cruise ship. A group of friends stumbled upon an abandoned cabin. Inside, they found 3 strange levers. The first lever was super dusty, like no one had touched it in years. The second lever was shiny, like it had been used recently. The third lever had a crack running down the side, and on the floor near it was a torn piece of fabric, like someone had gotten stuck. The group stared at one another and tried to think together. Which of the levers was safe to pull? The first lever is the safest to pull. Let's see why. The second lever was used recently. Someone must have used it and never returned. The third lever also showed signs of being used, but it was also a dangerous path. This meant that the safest choice was lever number 1. It was Anna's birthday, so she went camping with her friends. In the morning, Anna left the campsite but never returned. Hours after her disappearance, her friends called the cops to help find her. An officer interviewed the three people who claimed to have seen her last. Sarah said she saw her drinking her coffee by the lake. Peter said that he had seen her climbing up a hill. He said she had told him she wanted to take a picture of the sunset. Lucas said he had seen her taking photos by the lake, then heading into the forest. Can you guess who was lying? It was Peter. I mean, Anna left in the early morning, but Peter mentioned that she was going to take pictures of the sunset. Well, that doesn't add up. Maria asked a stranger for directions and was tricked into taking the wrong path inside the forest. She arrived at a junction with 3 different paths ahead of her. The first path led her down into a dense forest, but she could smell burnt wood in the air. The second path led her along the edge of a cliff, where crows were circling around. The third path went climbing upward to a rocky pass, but the stones looked unstable, as if someone had recently moved them. Can you help her figure out which one was the safest? It's the third path. If you look further ahead, you'll see someone lost their gloves on the rock. That means that was the same person that moved the rocks in the first place. Maria's safe to go down that road for sure. Felicity woke up in a dark dungeon. To get out, she needed to grab a key out of a fishbowl. The first bowl had scalding hot water inside of it. The second was filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Well, Felicity should just wait until the water cools down and grab the key from the first bowl. Bobby just bought a new red Vespa to ride around town. But in the first week, someone broke into her garage and stole it. The police were able to track 3 main suspects. Have a look at the suspects. Which one stole the Vespa? It's the guy on the right. Look closely. His Vespa looks like it was recently painted blue, but you can still spot the old red color. He must have stolen it and painted it a different color so as not to attract any attention. Ray went to check out an abandoned factory in a remote area. He climbed up a long chimney using an old rotten ladder that was hanging around. But when he reached the top, the ladder fell. Have a peek at the image. Should he scream for help and hope someone will come save him? Or maybe get down by using old pieces of that ladder he saw? Or, as a last resort, he would knock down some of the bricks of that old chimney until he reached the ground. What do you think would be Ray's best option out of this pickle? He should knock out the bricks, row by row, eventually dismantling the chimney. Sure, he would destroy one side of the chimney, but hey, screaming for help wouldn't work since he was so far away from everything. Asheville residents started witnessing weird things happening. People started disappearing in the middle of the night. The local police department had to call Detective John, a mystery crime expert, to investigate what was going on. John invited 2 eyewitnesses for dinner to interrogate them, Mary and Elizabeth. Mary said she heard whispers in the woods and saw the shadow of what looked like a human-sized monster running through the trees. Elizabeth said she saw a weird figure slipping into the lake when she was passing by it. At one point, the restaurant door blew open and the cold from the outside air came rushing in. Everyone moved except for one person. Examine the image. Can you figure out who is the culprit that John is searching for? Well, it's Elizabeth. While everyone needed to put on their coats and scarves to protect from the cold, Elizabeth stayed put. John knew that creatures such as werewolves and Sasquatch are immune to changes in temperature. Oh, and if you look closely at Elizabeth's arm, There's a bit of fur escaping from her long-sleeve shirt. Selena kept complaining to her friends about being single, so they suggested she download a dating app and get back in the dating game. One night, she decided to do it. She swiped left on a few cute guys, but she decided to meet up with one of them for a date. Look carefully at the 3 candidates. Who do you think she decided to meet for dinner? Well, let's see. The first guy is cute and all, but he has a wedding picture sitting right there in the background. So, yeah, that's probably a red flag. The second guy is also cute, but it looks like he still lives with roommates. Otherwise, why would he have a sign on his door that says, "Please not"? The third guy is definitely the winner, and that's the guy Selena agreed to go out with. Matthias was coming home from a night out. He got back to his flat, opened the door, and heard some pretty weird sounds. That's when he noticed something supernatural was happening in his apartment and shouted, "Ghost!" Can you identify what he saw that scared him so much? Well, beside his table there is a short lamp, but the bulb is floating and hovering above the lamp. It's floating in the air and somehow is still shining bright. Well, this isn't right. There must be a ghost nearby.